So the money's on the line. Your bragging rights are on the line. You need to figure out which players you need to lock in on the Sleeper app so you can dominate in fantasy basketball. We believe every NBA fan that plays fantasy football should also play fantasy basketball. So we did an episode like this earlier this week on the 25th, I believe. And if you guys want it, I'll continue to do it. You know what I'm saying? I did get a few people message me and tell me that it was helpful. One thing that I would note is that I won't be able to go through every single player that played that night, or even the top players who played that night, because the way the structure of the app is set up, really I found it the best way to kind of give you value is to go through the top players according to ADP, and just even if they didn't play, I'll give you some input on where they are in terms of their lock-in games. So we talked about the Joker earlier this week. I told you to lock him in on his first game, which was Tuesday, and then of course on Friday he had a lower output. So now if you didn't lock in the Tuesday game for the Joker, then I would just go ahead and roll the dice and wait to see what he does on Sunday. So I would not lock that 26.5 there. Next up, we got Luka, who has been going all the way off. If you locked him in on Wednesday, you did good. You were good to go. But if you waited for Friday, it was only a 5-point difference there. So either way, both of his games, are lockable. So Luka had a great week. Then we have Giannis, who I talked about in another video about his performance in comparison to what Damian Lillard did. I wouldn't panic. Damian Lillard scored 39 points. Sorry, 99 points. Get out of here, Robin. So he drops 39 points, takes the top off, boobies are out, hair blowing in the wind. But what does that mean for Giannis? I do have another video. I'll put a little video card up here so you guys could check that one out. So yeah, for Giannis, I would actually I locked in his Thursday game just to be safe, because when guys have only one game left, you know what I'm saying, when you're making a lock-in decision here on Sleeper, for me, I always tend to go with the safer, option, which is if he went above what he was expected to do, or he was right about on target in terms of what he was supposed to do, and he only has one game left, then I'm going to go ahead and lock in the score. However, the one caveat is that if you are down and you're like fighting back and clawing back, then you need to make the bet and say, you know what, let's hope that he goes for 60 on Sunday. So for Giannis, I would have locked that one. Unless you're behind, then you can think about maybe rolling your dice. Joel Embiid only did 21.5 on Thursday. He plays against Saturday and Sunday. So if you didn't lock in that Thursday score, then don't. I would hold. He has to do more than that. He has 2 games left. Then we got Tatum. Tatum had a game last night as well as Wednesday. If you didn't lock in his Wednesday score, you're probably sick to your stomach. So you have to lock in the Friday score. So that's Tatum. Then for SGA, who has been hot tamalian, Wednesday he did 37.5. And then on Friday he did 41 points. So this, I would go ahead and lock in the Friday score, just because, like I said earlier, he only has one game left. And according to his output for this week, he'll probably put up in the high 30s, low 40s on Sunday. It's just not worth the risk if, God forbid, he sits early because of a blowout or something like that. So I would just go ahead and lock in the 41. Then after SGA, we had Steph Curry. Steph Curry went off last night. I actually watched that game last night. He was cooking. So on Tuesday, he did 21.5. Last night, he did 34 points, and he has one game left. So I would definitely lock in his Friday score. If you can, lock in his Friday score. Tyrese Halliburton, he did 29 on Wednesday, and then he is up again tonight, on Saturday night. I would lock in the 29 points for Wednesday just to be safe. Again, he only has one game left, and he also has a game time decision, there in terms of injury. So I would stay away from rolling my dice on him. KD did 24.5 on Tuesday, And then Thursday, he did 30. And Saturday, he's up. I would go ahead and lock in the 30 points unless I was behind. Then for Anthony Edwards, he did 29 points on Wednesday. He's up on Saturday. If you did not lock in his Wednesday score, I would do that going into this game. He scored way above what his projected output would be. His projected output was 22.4. He did 29. I would just play it safe again, unless you are really trying to claw back into a game. Devin Booker's out, but it looks like they've changed him to game time decision. He did 27.5 his first game. Listen, if you have him in your starting lineup, I would try to get him out just because there's so many question marks around that. But if you're rolling the dice on a player, Saturday night with Devin Booker would be the way to go. But you have to just pay attention to his status in terms of his injury. Then we have Lillard. Whew, man, I did a whole video on Lillard. You guys check that out. Thursday, he did 33.5. I would lock that in. I wouldn't wait till Sunday. I'm locking that in. Then we got Domantas Sabonis, who last night looked pretty good. 32.5 on Wednesday. If you didn't lock that and you waited for the Friday game, he had 40.5 on Friday. I would absolutely lock in the 40.5. Anthony Davis, who just came off of a bounce back game, dropped 23 on Tuesday. Folks did not lock that game in because they knew AD could do more. Then Thursday, he put up 40.5. I would lock that and run. We'll do a few more. LeBron James had a minutes restriction the first game of the season. Folks were kind of concerned. Would that be what Darvin Ham had cooking for the King? But they opened up the floodgates on Thursday. So on Tuesday he did 26 points. On Thursday he did 31. I would lock that 31 in, play it safe. Then we got Donovan Mitchell here. I told you to lock in his Wednesday 36.5 output, and then Friday he did 43.5. So that's my bad. I'll raise my hand and let you know that was a bad call. You guys could have got an extra couple of points if you would have held out. But anyway you look at it, I'm still happy with taking 36.5, and I'm also really, really interested to see what Donovan Mitchell does this season. He might be an early sell high if you can get back some value for him, but he's having a great start to the season. So I would lock that in. Yeah, just to clarify, I would lock the 43.5 in if you didn't already lock in that Wednesday performance. I'll do a couple more. LaMelo, if you didn't lock in the 25.5 on Wednesday, definitely you have to lock in the Friday. So that goes without saying. Karl-Anthony Towns did 28.5. I would play it safe and lock that in. Victor Wembanyama, oh baby. And we got a video about Victor Wembanyama as well. I'll try my best to put a card up there so you guys can check that out. For Wemby, he did 17 points his first game just because he had some foul trouble. He only played 23 minutes, I believe. Friday, he went off, 32.5, and then he does have a Sunday game. I would go ahead and lock in the Friday score of 32.5. And I want to take a look at Walker Kessler, because I'm getting a lot of people in our community asking about Walker Kessler and what to do with him. So Walker Kessler is having a really tough start out to the season, right? As many of you know, I was super high on Walker Kessler, as many fantasy basketball analysts in the community were. And I remain steadfast at this point. This is the first week of the season. Like my man Adam King says, the real preseason is the first 2 weeks of the NBA season. That's when people are trying to figure out their rotations. That's when teams are trying to figure out, their personnel, two-way contracts. All of that stuff is happening, right? Making decisions that can impact the season. And then also teams are generally trying to establish chemistry. They're trying to gel. Like, it's early in the game. With that said, with regard to Walker Kessler, so on Wednesday he did 13 points. That's not good. Then Friday he did 8 points. That's even worse. So if you have him in your starting lineup and you can't, and you don't have someone else, you don't have another center that you could put in there that plays on Saturday or Sunday, then you got to hold out and see what happens. Big picture for Walker Kessler: do not drop Walker Kessler. Don't be silly. Don't make a ridiculous mistake. Now, if you're in a 6-man league or something like that, I get it. Maybe that would be, something that works, right? But in terms of 10 team leagues, 12 team leagues and higher, guys, we got to chill. We got to pump the brakes. You know what I'm saying? Be easy. Like have a latte, sit back and relax and wait and watch the show, because this guy is going to have a great season. You just need to give him time. So do not drop Walker Kessler. Beyond that, if you want to get in while the getting is good, this will be a great opportunity to buy low on Walker Kessler. I think I'm going to include him in our buy low show this Monday. Yo, Walker Kessler would be the person that I would be targeting if you have a manager who's like panicking right now about this early season struggle that he's having. Now that you know who to lock in for week 1 of the fantasy basketball season, let me know in the comments which players you want me to give lock-in mode recommendations for.